Well, how you doing, folks? I'm just about to do this review on this Fender Automatic, it's what it's called, series amplifier that I picked up the other day. These are a sleeper amp, I believe. It's a transistor amp. It's not a tube amp. They're solidly made. They're made as well as the DeVilles and the Deluxes. Happens to have 8 corner caps. I mean, it's amazingly made. It has it features a 12-inch Eminence speaker, the special design speaker they're called, and they were made in the mid to early 90s. Analog effects. It's got a spring reverb in it. It's pretty amazing, huh? The Super Champ 12 had a similar type of spring reverb in it, a little tiny reverb in the chassis. But the Super Champ 12, that was a tube amp, and it was from the early 80s, the red knob amp they were. That actually had a cardboard box with the spring reverb in it, which was really, when I took it apart, I nearly fell over backwards. This one's made a little better. It's all aluminum cased. It's got the grill cloth, the Fender grill cloth. It's 25 watts. Came with the instruction manual and user manual as well when I got it. I'll just read a little bit to you of what it says. It was made during the Bill Schultz era at Fender Musical Instrument Corporation. And I'll just read a little bit about some of its features. It says the Automatic series amplifiers include, among their many features, 25 watts of power, classic Fender reverb, which is true, and has 5 preset tones, gain buttons for everything from Fender Clean, which is true, to Ultimate Overdrive, which is not too bad. I'll give you a sample of it. Both the Automatic GT, voiced for rock and metal, don't know, and the Automatic SE, which is this model, the SE, voiced for blues and country. I believe that this is actually a great amp for blues and country. You can. I'll just have to make sure it doesn't overdrive on my meters. Yeah, it's overdriving. Hang on a second. Let's turn this gain down a little bit. Okay. Okay, so you can hear it there. That's the Fender Clean. So it's actually a really nice, usable Fender amplifier. And 25 watts, let me tell you, is plenty of power. I haven't used it at a gig yet, so look, I can't say whether or not it's going to be great in a gigging situation, but I do know this: it is freaking loud. I've got it on about 1 at the moment. I am using, I should say, a condenser microphone, just so it's nice and clear for you. The reverb, as I said, is a spring reverb, analog. I'm going to say this, heaps better than any digital reverb, in my opinion. I'll just saturate it for you. So, really nice reverb. That's my neighbour revving his car up. Okay, and now it has 5 presets. That's why it's called Automatic, I guess. I wouldn't use them myself. I would only use it as a clean amp and put pedals in front of it, because it does take pedals very well. As I mentioned, it has a 12-inch speaker, so it's quite honky as well. Okay. The first preset button lets you choose between a humbucker and a single coil mode. That's in humbucker mode. I don't have any humbucker guitars here. I don't use humbuckers. I'm a single coil man. This is in the single coil position. I think it's more like a bright switch. You can Now, let's go from the first position, which is a Fender clean. This is a boost in the upper mids. It sounds like we're stuck on a wah pedal, just a little bit below 10. Okay, next position. This is kind of like a bluesy overdrive. So you could use that for, blues playing. Now, the next position is really gritty. It's great for if you're going to do some Australian rock and roll. I should say 80s Australian rock. You know this one. So it's usable, Yeah, you can maybe, you could probably do some heavy metal with this thing, I would imagine. And this is the SE model. But let's go back to the Fender Clean. So it only features the volume control, treble control, bass control, and here's a cool little analog feature. Chorus. And you can bring up the depth and the speed at the same time. So that's your chorus. So like I said earlier, I think a sleeper amp. These are great amps. They're incredibly well built, and they sound great. 25 watts is plenty, I think, for gigging. I will use it in a gigging situation. I'm going to use it tomorrow night for the first time, and I'll probably let you know how it goes. But I've had the 65. Oh, I forgot to mention this is made in Mexico. Okay, so early 90s, made in Mexico, and made as well as my Deluxe and DeVille. 12.9 kilos it weighs. Really well made amp. Now I had a Fender FM 65R, which is a similar kind of thing, but that was made in China. But not very reliable amplifier. Loud, God, that was loud. But I think this one sounds better. But also the FM it would overheat, and I tried everything to keep the thing cool, and when it overheat, it would just shut down, you know. And if I was going away to do a small country show in the middle of nowhere that was covered in dust, I would never bring my good tube amps, you know. So I would take that, and the first time I ever took it, I regretted it because I had to end up plugging into the PA system. I mean, that's, for a guitar player, that's just crazy talk. But anyway, getting back to the Super Champ 12, I think sort of in the same league, I would think, except for this is louder than the Super Champ 12, and this is not a tube amp. The Super Champ 12 was a tube amp, but still had the reverb in the head like this one does. So a very versatile amp, and I don't think they're that expensive. Maybe after this video they might be. Like I said, sleeper amp, and in my opinion too, because I bought a Music Man amplifier. I think it sounds better than a Music Man amp actually. I know I'm talking about the RP112 that I owned. They had just 2 power tubes. Very disappointed in those amps. I bought one brand new back in the early 80s. And I got rid of my super reverb for the Music Man RP112, and then I wanted to kill myself afterwards because playing it in the band, my guitar just used to get lost in the mix live. So I went out and bought a X-Higher twin reverb because I just wanted to get back into a tube amp. I think the cabinet was completely destroyed, but it sounded great, and I still have a twin upstairs. Great amps. But anyway, look, so it's called the Fender Automatic Series. This one is the SE. It comes in the GT model as well. If you see one, I would say grab them because at the moment they're not that expensive, but they're great amps. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and like, and check out the Memphis Sons as well. See you soon. Take care.